Hello everyone, welcome back to On the Square with Councilman Kurt Johnson. Today we're going to represent Women's History Month, and I have two judges from the Dallas County area, Judge Kim Cook and Judge Stacey Williams. But first, I'd like to give you a history of Women's History Month. Women's History Week was initiated by the Education Task Force of the Sonoma County Commission on the Status of Women in Sonoma, California in 1978. This event was spearheaded by a group of activists and historians, including Gerna Lerner, to promote women's history and ensure its inclusion in the curriculum. Women's History Month emerged from the tireless efforts of activists and scholars to recognize and celebrate the often overlooked contributions of women throughout history. It began as a week-long celebration in Sonoma, California in 1978, eventually expanding into a month-long observance in 1987. Since then, it has served as a platform to honor the achievements of women in various fields and to advocate for gender equality. Let's continue to amplify women's voices and stories, not just in March, but every day of the year. Also, I'd like to recognize some women in history that we may be aware of or may not be aware of during Women's History Month. Harriet Tubman was an abolitionist. Clara Barton, the nurse and founder of the American Red Cross. Hattie McDaniels, the first African-American woman to win an Oscar. Shirley Chisholm, first African-American elected to the U.S. House of Representatives. Sandra Day O'Connor, Supreme Court Justice. Sally Ride, astronaut and first American woman in space. Misty Copeland, first American principal dancer for the American Ballet Theater. Sarah Thomas, first female referee in NFL history. Dolores Huerta, American labor leader and civil rights activist. Hazel Lee and Maggie G, flying high as wasps meet for women Air Force service pilots. Sue Ann Cuddy, first Asian American woman to enlist in the United States Navy in 1942. So you knew I had to give a little Navy history there because I'm retired Navy. If you guys recall from my last show, I said 2024 is the year of the truth revealing. And hopefully this year is turning out to be just that, the truth. You know, I believe speaking truth into power, and as long as you tell the truth, you have nothing else to worry about. So continue on with 2024 because this is the year of the revealing. Now I'm going to get started with our show. I'd like to welcome Judge Kim Cooks and Judge Stacey Williams. Thank you for joining the show today.
Thank you for inviting us.
Yeah,
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. First of all, let's try to get to know you, Kim. Judge Cook, just let us know about your background, where you're from, education, etc.
Okay, so I'm originally from Colorado. I moved to Texas to go to college. I was a pre-med student, and I decided my last year in college that I wanted to go to law school instead of going to medical school. I attended University of Texas at Arlington. I have a bachelor's in biology and a minor in business management, and I have a law degree from Thurgood Marshall School of Law.
Thurgood Marshall, that's at
Texas Southern University.
I've heard a lot of great attorneys have come from Thurgood Marshall. It's one of the top schools, as far as I'm concerned, in the nation. Well, how about you, Judge Williams?
All right, well, actually, I was born in East Texas, in Longview, Texas. Grew up in the Dallas area. I'm a graduate of the Hockaday School, Smith College with a degree in economics. I also participated in a special program in economics at Yale University, and I'm a graduate of Georgetown University Law Center in Washington, D.C. I bring over 37 years of legal experience. Not only am I in my third term as a district court judge in Dallas County, I've been an arbitrator for DART, the U.S. Postal Service, NASDAQ FINRA, Washington Metropolitan Airport Board. I've been an administrative judge for the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission and trial attorney. On top of that, I'm certified as a senior professional in human resources by the Society for Human Resources.
Wow, that's very impressive. When do you have time to take care of yourself?
I do.
All right. I have a question. What motivated you to pursue a career in law, and what ultimately led you to become a judge?
I think law was by circumstance. A lot of my uncles were physicians, and I wanted to be actually go to medical school. But after my first semester in college in biology, I wasn't doing very well. So I went to my professor and said, "Look, I cannot have a C on my report card. What can we do?" And he said, "Well, you know, you're going to get a C." I said, "Look, if I promise that I never, ever, ever step foot in the chemistry department or biology department, can we get a B?" And he burst out laughing. He goes, "No one's ever tried to negotiate a grade with me." So we negotiated. I went to the government poli-sci, and that was it. I mean, I really found my niche then. But I had going high school, first semester of college, I wanted to be a physician, but the grades weren't working.
So, did you win your first case by negotiating a B, or?
No, I won it by litigation.
Okay, how about you, Judge?
Okay, so again, I am a pre-med major, and my last year I decided to go to law school. You know, I did well in all the biology, the chemistry, the physics, and the math courses. But when I worked at Presbyterian Hospital, and the way that the doctors treated people was not how I thought people should be treated. So I decided then that I was going to law school to sue the doctors, and that's how I ended up in law school. And I told my counselor, you know, hey, I don't want to go to medical school anymore. I want to go to law school. So he made some phone calls, and he said, hey, they're having tryouts for the debate team. You can go over there and see if you can try out. I tried out, and I made the debate team. So we traveled across Texas doing debates, and that's how it all began.
Wow, 2 different roads, 2 different paths to get to where you are today. It's just amazing. I think that should motivate a lot of young women to look at, hey, just because we have a legacy of professionals this way doesn't mean that's my career path. So that's really honorable to see that you guys identified, hey, this is not for me. I need to move on to something else. So thank you for that. Judge Cook, can you discuss a particular complex or memorable case you presided over and the factors that influenced your ruling?
You know what? The case that's most memorable to me is one where I received death threats. It was a custody case between a mom and son. And the guy would come to court and just sit there, make outbursts. And I kept telling the sheriff's department, you know, the sheriff's department is responsible for protecting the judges. I kept telling him, I'm terrified of this man. You know, he's making threats to me. He's like making different emails and sending me emails about what he's going to do. And it was a jury trial. He, of course, lost custody. His mom won custody. And when it was time for me to sign the order that Monday, he didn't show up to court, and he always showed up. So I called the sheriff's department, called to Austin, and said, hey, he's going to do something. I mean, do y'all know where he is? Are y'all tracking him? They couldn't respond and say what they were doing, you know. And that Friday, I left court, went to, you know, flew to Colorado. I got over 100 calls that night. The police were looking for me. The police, Dallas Police Department had sent the bomb squad to my house because this guy had shot up the police station. He actually went to another state, bought a car, an armored vehicle where, you know, he had little holes in the vehicle where he could shoot outside of, and he shot up the Dallas Police Department. And they ended up, I guess you can say, in a shootout in Ennis where he was found deceased. And so that was the most memorable and scary case. And from that point on, my bailiff was like, hey, you got to carry a gun. You know, you're being threatened. And the sheriff's department had no idea that any of this had gone on. I called them that morning, and they had no idea.
Wow.
So it was the Dallas Police Department. I'm thankful for them for, you know, their actions, for their protection and all of that.
Wow.
So that was the most memorable case.
Wow, that is a memorable case. I don't think I would forget anything like that. So
I can't answer that.
anything you have to share, Judge Williams?
No, I mean, that's, you know, in family law cases, you expect something like that. I'm just a civil judge. I make people pay a lot of money. But I think probably the most memorable, or what I find the most rewarding, are in my personal injury cases. Before I approve a settlement for children, I appoint an ad litem. And the ad litems are the advocates for the children. They make sure that they're getting a fair part of the settlement that's been negotiated by the attorneys. And we've kind of developed a little rule saying the attorneys are not going to get more money than my children. my children are going to have the money, and we either put it in the registry of the court, or if it's a large sum of money, my ad litem's will negotiate with financial institutions so that by the time that child reaches 18, there's an amount. And so I think it's more of kind of a carrying amount. One change that we've made in my court since I've been there, my ad litems can't charge $7,000 or $8,000 for their fees. I mean, I was shocked. And so I have now a roster of ad litems who charge a reasonable amount, but they do the job, and everyone understands that it's the best interest of the child. And I find that most rewarding.
Oh, that's good. That's good. All right, Judge Williams, can you share an example of a time when you had to make a difficult decision as a judge and how you navigated the process?
I think it's every day. I mean, because you're dealing with people's lives, you're dealing with people's businesses. So, number one, you have to be prepared for every hearing, every motion that's presented before you. You have to do the research. And it's more difficult as a state district court judge because we don't have law clerks to do the research. So it's either staying up like I did last night on an issue to, a very late last night to make sure that I got it right. Because I have to live comfortable, because if someone decides to appeal it to the next level, I have to be able to say in my heart, you know what, you did the best you could, you did the research, and you made the decision. Now, it could be right or wrong, but you did the best possible.
Okay. Judge Cook?
It's a difficult, what's the question?
A difficult decision as a judge and how you navigated the process.
You're right. Like Judge Williams said, I mean, all the decisions are difficult because you've got to be able to go home at night and sleep and be comfortable with your decisions. And one of the things, when I was in we were in judge school together at the same time. My mentor told me, rule and run. So make your ruling and then be comfortable with it. So you have to be up at night doing the research.
Okay. Now, that's something I didn't know. Judge school. I'm always teasing my, I didn't know that I went to school for judge school. So my best friend back home, I'm always teasing him because he was in the band. They're going to band camp. So I didn't know I had to go to attend the school to become a judge, or after you're elected to become a judge.
Right.
So,
Well, I mean, every profession has its nuances. I mean, doctors have to get their CLEs, lawyers have to get their CLEs. So a lot of people, when they're elected as a judge, that is their first opportunity to serve as a decision maker as opposed to an advocate. I mean, I was lucky that I had been a municipal court judge for the city of Dallas, and I'd gone to that training. So becoming a district court judge was more like going from a baby judge to, like, as my mother says, you're now a real judge. And so they want to make sure that transition from advocate to decision maker, fair, neutral decision maker, is smooth, and then that you're aware. I mean, being a judge has a lot of different responsibilities. You have additional ethical responsibilities, and then you have an agency called the Texas Commission on Judicial Conduct that you really have to be scared of. Well, not really scared of, but you just have to follow lots of rules, and so it's really important. But that's just the beginning of the training.
Okay.
It just touches, I think it puts your toe in the water, but there's so much more to, quote, being a judge than just winning an election.
So, I love to joke around. So judge school, it's a little bit more than just how to put the robe on correctly.
Right. And usually you buy your robes there, actually.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, I hate to laugh. All right, okay. Judge Williams, in what ways do you engage with your community outside of the courtroom? And how do you believe judges can contribute positively to society beyond their judicial duties?
Excellent question. Well, actually, in 2015, I created a program called the Citizen Civil Academy, which is a free, nonpartisan program to educate citizens about the civil court process. And I also thought about creating this during the election, because people would come up to me and say, well, when you get elected, don't put me in jail. And I have to go, I'm going to be a civil judge. I don't do criminal issues. I can't, well, I can put you in jail, but I think that's being obnoxious. I won't put you in jail, but I can make you pay a lot of money. But that hit in my mind. People need to understand that in the large urban areas, the district court judges are specialized. So you have civil, which mainly, money damages. You've got the criminals who can put you in jail. You have the family court judges who deal with all the family issues. So I created the Citizen Civil Academy. Since 2015, we've educated over 450 citizens, ranging in age from 7 to 92. We've taken it to 15 locations. And the best thing about this, I pay for this program with my campaign funds. No federal, state, or local funds are involved. And I do this program on the weekends. I mean, some judges have programs and they take off during the day. I got work to do. So we do it on the weekends. It's a wonderful program. We had to stop because of COVID, because it's a very interactive. But we're going to be starting back late spring throughout the summer. So we have a website, www.ccadallas.com. So if anyone's interested, we will be putting notices up. And that's the way the community stays connected and they understand, because people will say during the election, I don't know nothing about the judges. Well, if you come to my CCA, we even have a segment where judges come and talk to the individuals, participants. So we make it so that they're not afraid, to show up for jury duty, or if they do have a case, understand we're humans. I guess some of us think we're special, but we are normal human beings, and so there shouldn't be a fear of interacting with your elected official.
I agree with that. That's really powerful to have an academy to educate folks on. I think a lot of times that since it's the unknown, we fear more about going before the judge, and it's good to see that you ladies, both of you as judges, have that. Hey, I'm here to help you. I'm not here to hammer you. So we're working together.
Right. We both believe in transparency. We believe in being active in the community and listening to the issues of different segments of the community, so we have a better understanding while we're making decisions in court.
Okay. Let's move on to last few questions here. What inspired you to run for you, Judge Williams, Chief Justice, 5th District Courts of Appeal, and what specific goals or initiatives do you hope to achieve if elected?
All right, well, I've been on the district court bench, which is a trial bench, for almost 10 years. I've been a municipal court judge. I've been an administrative judge. An administrative judge for the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, and I've been certified as a senior professional in human resources. The Chief Justice of the 5th District Court of Appeals is more of the CEO, the administrator of the court. So you're going to make sure that the clerks are doing their jobs, that the justices are issuing their decisions timely, and if necessary, going down to Austin, the lobby, the legislators for additional funds. What I found was the Court of Appeals right now is in trouble, and they need someone to come in and make a difference. For example, the 5th District Court of Appeals, although having more staff attorneys, more justices than any other Court of Appeals in the state of Texas, they have the worst backlog of criminal appeals in this state. There are cases that people have been waiting for more than 24 months for a criminal appeal. So that means that someone's loved one is sitting in jail. That makes no sense whatsoever when you have the resources. In fact, there are even some civil cases that are pretty old, and you're talking about someone's business, someone's livelihood that is being held in jeopardy. And I think that's one of the reasons why we are in the community so much. I understand why waiting for a decision is not a very good thing. And right now, there just seems to be a form of benign neglect going on at the 5th District Court of Appeals. So because of my experience, my commitment to the community, my understanding of the community, I want to get in there and make a difference. Look, we're in the DFW area. We are, the fastest growing part of the country, and yet we've got a Court of Appeals that's just not working up to snuff. We need a first-class, first-rate Court of Appeals, and I'm committed to doing that.
That sounds great. I have to agree with you. When families are waiting on their loved ones for the judges to make a decision, And just like you just shared that you have this program where you can learn more about the judges, and the more we know, the better off we're going to be. So I appreciate you running for the Chief Justice of the Fifth District, and hopefully you're very successful at it. Judge Cook, you're running for the district, right?
Place 11.
Place
the
11.
Fifth District Court of Appeals, place 11.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm running because, as Judge Williams said, you know, there needs to be a change. The Fifth District Court of Appeals has the most dismissals in the whole state of Texas out of the 14 courts of appeals. 430 cases dismissed in fiscal year 2023. That's unacceptable. The next lowest was 209, I believe, out of another district. So 430 cases being dismissed, that's justice denied. And we can't have that. If people appeal their cases, this is their only opportunity where they can appeal their cases where it has to be heard. You know, if you go to a higher level, they don't necessarily have to hear your appeal. So if you're denying people their hearing, you know, that's just unacceptable. Diversity. There needs to be diversity in the Fifth District Court of Appeals. There needs to be a diverse perspective. I've come with 22 years of legal experience, and I have trial experience in criminal, family, and civil. So, you know, I've also sat as a judge in family court for 8 years, and then the remainder of the time up till now, I've sat family, criminal, and civil. So I bring, and juvenile also. So I bring that experience to the court, and a different perspective is needed. And these cases need to be taken care of. Like Judge Williams said, families are waiting. You know, real estate cases, a title company is not going to close on a case, close on a house, or close on something if it's an appeal. So those cases have to be paid attention to.
Okay. Okay. What are the most effective ways for individual voters to help promote your campaign and increase your visibility within the community? Judge Cook?
Okay, so they can share our stuff. They can encourage voters, tell their family, friends to go vote. You know, we have an election coming up in November. November 5th is election day. 2 weeks prior is early voting. We need a bigger turnout. We need a great turnout when it comes to the voters. And we need to reach more voters, so we will definitely be out in the communities reaching more voters and getting people out to vote.
Okay. How about you, Judge Williams?
In addition to what Judge Cook said, I think it's very important for voters to do their own research. You see a lot of smoke and mirrors, and I think this election is going to be about who's going to be in control of the Fifth District Court of Appeals and what direction should it take. So I expect it to be a very challenging election. I expect a lot of smoke and mirrors, and it's very important that the voters do their own homework, listen to both sides, but decide, is this a direction that we want the court to be going into? Go to forums, or even if they're not forums, organizations can set up their forums. We'll go anywhere where we can talk. I know I will. Anytime, any day. Check out the Facebook pages, but the turnout's going to be very important. And it's just not the presidential election. Vote all the way down the ballot, because you're going to see me in Costco before you see the president.
Absolutely. Okay, with this being said, I appreciate you ladies for coming out and giving your perspective about the reasons and purposes why you're running. Also, if there's anything else you'd like to say before you leave so they can get to know a little bit more about you, I'll let Judge Williams go first.
Well, first of all, thank you for the opportunity to appear on this show. And I just say people's vote matters. Sometimes going out in the community, people say, well, why should I vote? It's not. It makes a difference. You know, the election's going to be very close, and if you want to see more representation, you want to see diversity of opinions, you really want to have a first-class, first-rate Fifth District Court of Appeals. This is an election to be involved. And one thing we forgot to mention were the counties in the Fifth District Court of Appeals, because it's just not Dallas County where we're sitting now.
It's Dallas, Collin, Hunt, Grayson, Kaufman, and Rockwall counties.
Thank you for that. It's a little joke we had earlier, so I appreciate that. Anything you'd like to add, Judge Cook?
Yes, thank you again, Councilman, for having us on here. You can follow me I'm on all social media platforms, you know, as Kim Cooks or Judge Kim Cooks. You can check out my website. judgeforjustice.com. If you have any questions, you can contact me through that website. You know, I get the messages. Call me. If you see me out in public, you have questions, call me, invite us to forums, and we're more than welcome to talk and speak. We're transparent, and that's what's needed in the Court of Appeals.
Thank you, ladies. Well, this concludes the show today, and this is the first time we had an opportunity to hear from the judge's perspective. So get out there and support these judges, get to know them. With that being said, thank you for another episode and your time for On the Square with Councilman Kurt Johnson.